Okay, so the first element of design that we'll be working with for our project is layouts. So I'm sure you've all seen a web page like this before. It's pretty generic. So you have your big rotating banner up top, your sticky menu, and then just very blocky divs. And then you have your little icons with the news underneath. So you could even, like this one's pretty basic, but then we could go, this is a little more interesting, but again, you've probably seen something like it before. So you have your slider up top, your big divs, your images with your information underneath. So there's nothing inherently wrong with a web page like this. It's great. It displays information. The only problem is it just kind of blends together. If a person visits your website, they won't have a lasting impression. And again, depending on the goal of your website, you might not need that lasting impression, but if you're wanting to have a bigger impact on your users, then it's better to stray away from this typical design style. So as I said, there's nothing inherently wrong about this kind of web design or web page design. And it works. That's why so many people use it, because it is effective. But the thing is, you can still keep many of the same elements without having it being the exact same kind of layout that you see across tons of other web pages. So we'll take a look at this page, which is a website that kind of follows the same guide. So it has the same big kind of hero banner layout, the same floating navigation, but they changed it up just enough that it kind of has its own original flair to it. So just the way they kind of have the overlaps of the divs and the background images makes it a bit more interesting to look at instead of just your straight cut lines that you see on the other web page. And even as you come down here, there are little blocks. It has a bit more interest to it with the background and the overlays and just everything going on with it. So you can see by scrolling through this page, it does have a lot of the same elements and the same features as this page over here, but it's just done in a way that provides that little bit more creativity, which allows it to stand out and have a better lasting impression for its users. So here's another website that I think is really well done in the sense that it keeps to more the traditional components of a website, but it's done in a way that makes it very original and gets across the message that the site's trying to portray. So here you can see it's still the same big hero banner, or as kind of a page like this, you still have that big hero, but just the way the text is cut off by the image of the person makes it more interesting. And even just the size and cleanliness of everything around it kind of gives it that more clean and modern feeling. So then if you scroll down, just the white space that it uses really emphasizes or really allows you to focus on the content that's there. And what I found particularly interesting is his use of these background images for the div. So by adding in a little image at the bottom of the div that's kind of this splash of paint almost, it makes it look like it's not just a straight line div and gives it a more interesting feeling than your more traditional kind of straight lines that you would see here or particularly across this blue bar. So now that we've explored some ideas on how to transform a simple web page into something a little more creative and more unique, we're going to apply these elements to our class project. So I've laid out just a simple template of what we have already, a very basic wireframe. And then I've made one or the wireframe of what we hope to achieve through the new layout. If you want to open up these on your own, you could open our repository link and go to Design Guide. And then it'll be the class Web Design Start PDF and Class Design PDF. So just to recap, our starting point of our class project is very straight cookie cutter, lots of straight lines, not very interesting, very basic layout. And when we look back at this page, the elements that I really liked about it was this idea of kind of masking the divs and masking a lot of the straight lines. So when you look at what we've done with our new layout, we've kind of applied that to our page in our own way. So instead of having all these straight lines here for each of the sections, we've applied waves across each of the top of the divs. So that just provides a more fluid feeling of the web page instead of all the straight hard cut lines. Also up top, what I really liked about this site was the openness of the hero banner and just the size, the full screen use of it. So we've done that as well. So we've made a big hero up top, made it nice and clean, but what we've done is kind of shrunken down the image. So instead of just being a big image right across, we're going to make the image into a little morphine blob. That might not make a lot of sense right now, but by the time we're done our project, it'll make a lot more sense. From this site, the elements that I really liked were the overlapping divs. So just kind of the idea of this div is overlapping on top of this background image. And we're going to take that idea and bring that to our site as well. So you can see right here on the little icon tiles that we'll have our text for the tiles kind of overlapping with the icons themselves. And then down here, similar to what the other page did, we're going to have the background image with the div on top of it and just kind of shifted downwards. So again, the idea of overlapping the content. So hopefully if you look at this page and when you look at the built out version of it, which you can see right here, you could imagine that when we build out this version of the web page, it'll look a lot nicer and the layout will be a lot more interesting. So in the next part of this class, we'll be going into the code and actually changing our project to become to look more like this.